It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Hello.
We're here. Oh. It's Wednesday.
Now we're here.
Steve Panazielman with Mystery Mark. No.
Okay.
Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. As usual, we're live. I have to remind you that we're live. Right?
See?
We don't edit. It just goes out there.
We did that baseball show a couple times, and now I'm all confused.
Oh. That baseball. You shouldn't have even said the word. No, it's really irritating. I fell asleep watching the Cub game last night. It was like a 2.5-hour rain delay.
Yeah.
And they ended up losing. And I didn't see the near
isn't that
comeback.
better that you fell asleep?
Well, I don't know. And then I couldn't go tonight,
because if
and
you
apparently
didn't fall
that's
asleep,
good too.
you would have been all entrenched in the game. It would have been close, and then you would have been up for an hour afterwards because your adrenaline would have been flowing, and then you would have been upset that they lost.
Well, here's the deal. I've been getting up early now for maybe 2 straight weeks, and I can only attribute it to one thing, and that is walking to the driving range every other day and hitting a bucket of balls. Now, why would that make me get up at 6 in the morning
I have no
every
idea.
single day? What is the
Why
explanation
don't you get
for
up
that?
at 6 in the morning and throw darts?
This is my new practice routine.
Oh.
You know,
Yet a new one.
smacking golf balls. Well,
Is that helping you?
Here's the deal. If you actually have a proper golf swing, you have to pretty much imitate a lot of the right arm movements that you make throwing a dart. So remember I was like throwing a baseball for a while? That helped to actually loosen, is it the trapezoid? What's the big long muscle?
The lats.
Is it the lats?
Yeah.
My lats get stiff if I practice a lot.
Yeah,
and
this
so
big one down your back.
Yeah. That one,
yeah.
my right lat it has a serious issue and needs professional attention. Especially now, I literally spent an hour and a half hitting 3/4 7-irons yesterday. And by the end of it, I was like, man, this is just so much fun. I haven't had that much fun. Yeah, I used to like hitting a golf ball. Just like the act of throwing a dart, I used to really, really enjoy. I still do it. I mean, I still enjoy it. But I'm not like nutsy, cuckoo, psycho addicted like I was when I first started playing.
Right.
But now I have all this experience that I can, in theory, fall back on.
In theory.
Well, theory is always perfectly sound. Disclaim away. We got a laundry list this week.
We do?
Of stuff to get to, yeah. I mean,
Uh-oh.
Wow. Doesn't take much to cross you up there, does it? Any disclaimer will work.
The views, opinions, rant and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, we wish you luck with that. It looks like you sorted it by name or something instead of like the way you had it set up.
Yeah, I hit
one
a
little
button,
mouse
and
click is all it takes. The show's
It's
gone.
all screwed up for
We're just one mouse click
now
will kill this show.
Out.
There's a lot to get to. I made the mistake, so apologies in advance. I was actually on Facebook for like 10 minutes, and I think I irritated like 5 people right off the bat, including the one guy.
Shocking.
One guy's over there saying he was watching a scrummage between the Rams and the Cowboys. They had a scrummage. And I'm like, it's scrimmage. And he comes back with, well, no, if you look in the dictionary, scrummage is like some like approved variant. And I'm like, I'm not going to pull out the Oxford English Dictionary, but it's scrimmage, okay? And be done with it now. Thank me that I told you how to talk like an American about football. Don't say that there's some weird dictionary that you're the only person that read, and therefore go ahead and say, yeah, let's have a scrummage and see if anybody shows up. You know what I mean? It's people. I don't know. Anyway, I have been on Twitter for you guys. I posted a couple of things I found amusing. So if you follow @DartTalk, I am tweeting now. I'm tweeting at least once a day, and not all of it's Dart related, but some of it's mildly amusing. For instance, I've been doing my 10,000 steps, so I'm wandering around the neighborhood like way more than I used to, scaring everyone.
I had 30,000 steps last Sunday.
Oh, yeah, with the golf and then walking to dinner with the lady and all that. I don't think I've done 30,000 since.
I was exhausted.
If I do 10,000 straight, my legs feel a little heavy, especially if I'm wearing flip-flops.
Yes. Oh, sure.
But then, if I'm walking by myself, it's kind of mellow. I put on the headphones and just la-di-da-di-da, and you're in your own little world. If I'm walking with love of my life, that's different. LOML. LOML. Because then I have to do it at like 80 miles an hour.
Oh, you're not lying.
I'm not lying.
No.
I'm not lying. It's
more
of a cardio workout.
She's the fastest walker not involved in speed walking regiment in the history of the world.
And I could walk faster. I just don't see why I should. What is that? Are we in a deadline
Where
here?
am I going?
And anybody who walks that fast should always be on time. I'm just I'm in trouble tonight.
For that argument, though, is the reason you walk that fast is because you're not on time. But if you have nowhere to go and you're just going to go out for a walk, it still is that fast. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter whether she's late, whether she's early, or whether she's just going on a stroll.
If she went and actually pulled her darts out of the board
at that rate,
walked at that,
she'd trip all over herself.
She might catch up to the dart before it hits the board. Her third dart. She might catch it in midair. She walks fast. Got some things to get to. So my notes, which are always kind of obtuse. Jaws, James Harrison, early fall, dress codes, foosball, reinventing the wheel, and then we're supposed to talk about rivalries this week.
All right. Did we come up with any rivalries?
It's like Jeopardy categories. No. So what do you want to start with?
I want to know what Jaws is.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay. It's good. It's a good movie. It's.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No. I
movie?
put Jaws down. This is how twisted my thinking is. Did you ever read the book?
I did not.
Okay, you never read the book. Okay. It was written by Peter Benchley.
Okay.
And it was a good kind of junk novel. It wasn't wildly popular before the movie came out, but lots of people read it. He also wrote The Deep.
Oh, I like that one.
Everybody liked the movie poster.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Jacqueline Bisset?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Jacqueline Bisset, who was in Bullet with Steve McQueen.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Jacqueline Bisset.
And we digress.
Yeah, lost my train of thought. Okay, so anyway, I actually read the book before I saw the movie.
Okay.
Because at that age, when somebody says you need to read, page 27 of The Godfather, you run out and read page 27 of The Godfather. Mm. Well, one of my buddies must have said, hey, you got to read, like, the first chapter of Jaws. Okay. So it was good, so I read the second chapter, and then back then I used to read a lot, so I read the whole book. But anyway, this part didn't make the movie. But they went on, and now I'm a little older than you. So you have to remember back in the 70s when Izod shirts, before they were actually called Izod because it was Lacoste. René Lacoste was one of the most famous tennis players to come out of France. He was one of the three musketeers. There was like three French tennis pros that were like dominating tennis back in the, 30s or something. So his clothing line started to come to the States, and it was like high-end polo shirts, and all they had was the little alligator logo, right? And you would basically, you could only really buy them, I think, in pro shops or maybe like, I don't know, Neiman Marcus, something like that,
Okay.
expensive stores, right? So in the book, the Roy Scheider character, who's what, sheriff or whatever, or police chief? He's the chief, police chief.
The chief, yeah.
It goes back to like when he's, I forget how old he was, but anyway, he really wanted one of these shirts as a status symbol. And the whole thing was about like, he's a working guy and you know, in Amity, you know, it's a resort town, so you get all the rich people coming out, and then you're a poor person working there like in welding. So there's like some friction there. But anyway, long story short, he finally gets like a Lacoste shirt, and then there's no change. Nobody treats him any differently. So finally, he rips the logo off the shirt and throws it away.
Okay.
We had David Fathom on last week,
We
and
did.
apparently it was an interesting show in a lot of different ways. Got some interesting feedback from a few people. But the one thing that I will say is ever since the Izod thing, right, it became more and more common for people to buy things based on the label and then display the label. Right, so like you have
Which
golf
is
shirts
still going on today.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and I've never really been a party to that. Like I always thought, why am I paying you to advertise for you? You should pay me to advertise for you, right? But somehow everyone's grown up almost
What
like.
do you have on your shirt there?
Oh, this is from like National Park.
Okay.
No, I mean, if you look, you won't see me with like a Nike swoosh or something, right? I mean, if I do have a logo from the manufacturer, it's usually kind of small. And like the Princeville shirt, I'll wear something like that. I'll wear, you know, a resort T-shirt or something like that.
That's not major advertisement.
Like I have a Reebok shirt because I want the raglan sleeves, and nobody makes them, right? So I got a Reebok shirt, and in the back collar, which you can't see because of my ponytail, there's a little Reebok thing. You know, it's unavoidable sometimes to have somebody's logo on there. But I don't see why I should pay money and then advertise for you at the same time. So, like, when everybody started getting Flying Bull shirts, they all said they had this big flying bull on the back, and I'm like, I'll never, ever in my life get one of those shirts. Why on earth would I pay you to advertise for you? I just don't get it. So, you know, David was talking about, you know, the business of darts and everything like that. And you know, he threw out this number like, you know, $100,000. The number could have been anything. But the point I think that he was trying to make was that if you're going to be a professional dart player and you're going to approach it like a business, then you need business goals. Aside from whatever results you make in, you know, whatever events you play. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Very few people like kind of do the math on this stuff. I was shocked when I had been going to tournaments for years before I started calculating how much entry fees were being paid out. I always assumed it was 100%. Well, it isn't. Then I always
Not even
assumed,
close.
well, it depends on the event.
Oh, sure.
And then I started to realize that certain tournaments were totally ripping off the players. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go. I talked to a few of the players, and, you know, for whatever reason, people go to the tournaments. Some people go to a tournament because it's local.
Yeah, it's close.
Right? And they want to go to a tournament. So they're not going to look at the price tag. But for somebody
because
who's
their expenses are minimal.
Well, it's not just their expenses are minimal. Like, when the Windy City Open was going in Chicago, whatever they were charging me for it, I figured was worth it, so I didn't care. Right? When I first started going to tournaments, my entry fee, I figured was a donation. If I got any money back at all, I was on cloud nine. After about a year and a half, then I was like, wow, I can actually do better than break even. I can come out ahead, right? And all of a sudden, you know, I had a couple of weekends where I made thousands of dollars, and I was like, well, now this is pretty sweet, right? Keep at it. So now where the money is a little different, but I'm digressing. I mean, once you start looking at all these tournaments from a business standpoint, the tournament completely changes. That's when you know you're a dart pro, or at least you're becoming a dart pro.
Right.
When you start calculating, hey, I went to this tournament, they paid 43% of the entry fees out to the players. Where'd the other 57% go? Into whose pocket am I providing money? right? How come at this one tournament they raised the prize money for this event, but then the other event they didn't? Then, I got to thinking, you know what? On Friday I got an envelope, and the envelope had a certain amount typed in, but then they crossed it off and upped the amount, right?
Okay.
Well, what if they did that on Saturday but decided to stiff me and give me what was posted, but then they're giving other people extra? How do you know?
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't.
Stuff like that. When you start thinking about things like that, now you're starting to think more business-like about dart tournaments. And I think that's kind of what David Fadden was getting to last week. He throws out a figure like I want to make $100,000. That's a goal.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Business. Well, I believe he said when your thought process is, how do I make? Not I personally, but yeah. Do you want to make $100,000? What do you have to do?
Hopefully not spend $150,000.
What's your thought process? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
again,
nobody comes up with that thought process.
Well, I think what he's saying is that the dart players need, if they're business-like about darts, then things would be a lot different now. Like people that are playing, he was talking about people paying for product.
Yes.
Well, because of all those people doing it for free, now no one is really going to get technically what he considers real sponsorship money.
Right, because everybody was happy just to get a bunch of flights and shafts.
Exactly.
And
so
that was it.
And I don't know. There's basically, if every player had an agent the way Darrell Rivas has an agent, or the way Major League Baseball players have an agent, where the agents dealt with the companies, right? And I talked about, I think it was Williston. I was joking around and I said, I'll manage your career, dude. I'll make sure.
We need the Cliff Floyd of darts.
The Cliff Floyd of
Not
darts.
Cliff Floyd.
Not Cliff Floyd. You mean Kurt Flood.
Kurt Flood. The Kurt Flood of darts.
No, no. I mean, you just need Donald Fear, really. You need somebody to organize the players and collectively bargain for them, which is what a union does. You don't have to have a union, but you need to have an organization that kind of sets everybody straight. And then there's still going to be, how come he's making more than me and all that stuff. I mean, that's business.
It's going to happen, right.
That's business. You don't negotiate a good salary when you start a job, then you're pegged to that slot forever, right? And if somebody comes in and negotiates better than you, he'll always make more than you or she. I mean, that's how business works. Anyway, so that was the Jaws thing.
That was the Jaws.
That was the Jaws thing. Where are we on time?
We're due for a break.
Already? Wow. There's more to get to. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark Steve Ponciano, and it'll be a short break, and we'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second quarter of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official console distributor. I'll edit that little delay out in the podcast because that was my fault.
Well, you don't get it.
Right.
Because
I thought you were looking.
No, I am looking, but each one takes a half a second or so different. So I have to watch when you click the button, not when the picture changes.
But if I click the button, it depends on how long. That's not a constant delay.
I know.
I mean, last week it took like 2 seconds.
There's not a constant delay on which bumper it is either.
Okay.
Some start right away and some don't.
Because okay.
So anyway.
I mean, I created.
But I do
them that
agree
way.
with you. You screwed that one up.
Should I create a Dart Talk ringtone and then sell them to people?
Sure, why not?
What would it be?
What, the price or the ringtone?
What would the ringtone be? What would a Dart Talk ringtone sound like? Hey, you're listening to Dart Talk. I mean, can you imagine that being your ringtone?
No.
Would somebody just smash your phone?
Yeah.
I enjoyed having.
How about I mean, it wouldn't be Dart Talk, but the ringtone of a triple and a on a soft board.
180.
Well, you could do that too, or the triple. Yeah, but 140.
I'm going to start. Apparently,
every time you wake up.
Guess who got a new phone?
Jill.
Yeah. So
what was wrong? Didn't she just get a new one earlier?
It's a long story. She's got an iPhone now, and
she want an iPhone.
Well, she changed her mind.
Okay.
And she appears to be happy now, but she wants the old singular wireless ringtone. Remember the old ringtone?
No. Oh,
anyway,
yes.
So I'm like, I figured out how to create it. It's kind of a pain, like an 8-step process, because you got to get it up into use your computer, get it up into iTunes to get it up to your phone. But I'm like, okay, I can do that. I got to come in here and do it. So then I was like, well, I could do other ringtones. Then I was like, what
but
would
it's not
the
general.
ringtone
It's not the
be?
general 1970s original phone ring.
That's what she wants for a ringtone.
Oh, you can probably just Google it.
You can get a copy of it, but I looked in the iTunes store and I couldn't download it.
Really?
So, but I could create it myself, which is even
All
better. So, custom ringtones by Dart Talk.
Coming soon.
Can you imagine what the text alert would be? Pull your darts. Anyway, okay. James Harrison. For people that think scrummage is a legal word, is a professional football player.
He is.
Who apparently what happened was his kids were playing like football, and they came back with trophies that they got for participating.
Participation trophies.
And apparently he made his kids take them back.
He sent them back. Yeah, did he make it? I just heard he sent them back, but
I thought he had the kids send them back and basically said you're not entitled to trophies for just showing up and doing your best.
Well, the backlash was what's the deal? So then he's quoted for saying, I was raised that you earn everything you get, and I'm not raising my sons to just participate and get something that they didn't earn.
I kind of go back and forth on that. I mean, like the League Darts in Chicago doesn't give you participation trophies.
League Darts in Chicago, you're not
right. I mean,
8.
Well,
I 100% agree with him.
Did you get participation trophies?
When you were growing up, you got nothing.
You got 0. That was the whole point. That was your reward for winning. Was you got a trophy.
The point was you enjoyed playing, and you went out and played, and you had fun, and if you won, yes, it was great. Whether you got a ribbon, whether it was in track and field, in junior high, you didn't get a ribbon unless you placed 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
You didn't get a trophy unless you placed 1, 2, or 3, and that was it. But you went out and you competed, and everybody enjoyed it, and times have changed.
And so I don't understand why they're giving away trophies for participating.
They do it everywhere now.
For what?
Because they want people to participate, and because everybody.
Otherwise, people won't show up.
Well, no, because everybody. A lot has to do with the parents. James Harrison is one of the first parents to say, "Listen, this is not the way I'm raising my kids."
Okay, I'm way older than him, and I'd have said it if I had kids.
People want their kids to be, I don't know if it's respected or...
This is self-esteem. No. This is self-esteem for the kids, right?
Instead of teaching your kids to understand the aspect of competing and participating doesn't just mean that you get something for it. Participating means you did it because you want to do it. You don't need to walk away with something to feel, rewarded.
I mean, the ADO sort of does it with the way they do their point system. Like, you get ADO points almost for showing up if the tournament is small enough.
That doesn't make any sense.
But I'm trying to remember if you get ADO points if you don't win a match. Because the way they had it set up was you needed so many players to get so many points. I think the way the ADO set it up was if you won one match, you could get ADO points. You had to get into the money, but then if they're paying down to top 16 and there's 32 players and you made top 16, you got ADO points, and it's like not a lot of points. But, I mean, that always struck me as being more like participation rewards. Right?
Sure.
It hasn't worked. I don't see more people participating because of it.
Supposedly. Well, I've got this many points. If I do win this tournament,
maybe
once,
all
of a sudden I would be
maybe 1 year it will.
Right.
And then you'll be like, well, what did I get for all these ADO points? I got nothing. So why bother going for them, I guess. Right? I mean, I don't see... I just don't see it. For a 7-year-old... So you don't want to say, to a 7-year-old, well, your team stunk and you lost every game. So, but you don't stink. It was just, your team didn't play well enough to win.
Yeah,
that's not good enough anymore. Now you have to have a trophy.
It's life lessons. What's wrong with life lessons? You don't get something every time you participate.
This reminds me of Meet the Fockers.
Yeah.
Because they had like this little shrine and he's getting like, 12th place in like some little contest in grammar school, and they're saving it and putting it on his little wall of honor.
Right.
And he's embarrassed, and I'm like, I'd be embarrassed too. What'd you keep it for? I know guys that got plaques for second place that chucked them on a roof. I don't want a second place plaque.
Right.
I only keep the first place plaques. So
things like
different people.
It depends, but
I don't know.
He's the reason it came out is he's actually, people always say it, but he's one of the publicly high-profile first people to say, "Listen, this isn't right. Enough of this." And we can't coddle our children to believing that you get a ribbon when you're 8, and then all of a sudden, all you do is expect something. Because you did something after that, and that's not the point. The point is he's one of the first high-profile people to say, "I'm not going to raise my kids that way. You guys can keep it."
One of the banks is running an ad with Serena Williams.
Chase.
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to give them free advertising.
Well, you just did.
Well, the point though is that it took her years to master the two-handed backhand. They show her like hitting backhand after backhand after backhand with perfect makeup.
Yes. Yes. She looks nothing like when she's competing.
But what I liked about it was very rarely do you see top athletes working at it. Even if you go to a ball game early and you watch batting practice. And I've said this on the show before. I think I mentioned Andres Segovia, this famous classical guitarist who's, if he's alive, he's probably 110. But master guitarists from all over the world would fly to Spain and pay him a couple of grand an hour to watch him practice. Mm-hmm. And like Fathom was saying, darters don't watch other darters play. Well, if they don't watch them play, I doubt they watch them practice. And I swear to God, when I first started going to tournaments and I was watching these guys play like 121 and stuff like that and just watching them hit all this amazing stuff because, the good players when they're loose and relaxed and just goofing around can really tear it up. It lets you know what's possible, right? Kind of like BP. Look how far you can hit a baseball. Look at what the human ceiling is in this endeavor, right? Mm-hmm. People don't do that.
No. Not at all.
So our listeners probably are exceptions to the rule, but I don't know. I found that kind of weird, the whole participation thing. and not that it's been like a huge story. Maybe it should be. Or I think this might be old hat. I think this has been going on for decades.
Well, no, it's
with this
that's
participation
my point.
thing.
I think it's been going
it's
on
more
for a
important
while.
to play. It's not really important to win.
If
I
you
don't know
go
where that
around-
comes from.
I don't either. If you go around and you get to our age and you start mingling with people that have kids that are playing, that are 10 years old and playing in these sports, and you start realizing that this is what they're doing now, as opposed to when we were even before high school, junior high. That if you didn't you didn't get anything, that wasn't the point. You weren't playing to get something. It's becoming over the last 20 years more and more, and in just social circles, people complain about it. He's the first one that's finally, to me, that has come out and said, you know what, this is really ridiculous. And so it's making national attention. But it's been going on for years, and you talk to enough people our age that have kids that are like, well, he got a ribbon for what? Because he showed up.
I think it makes him soft.
And then they talk about, like
my nephew is like that. And I think he's athletically and from a competition standpoint, he's soft. And I don't know if you could blame it on this kind of culture that has evolved over the last 20 years. But, I mean, I grew up playing, tackle peewee football with all these, miniature Bobby Knights. Mm-hmm. Guys grabbing you by the face mask, smacking you on the head, telling you not to miss the tackle.
No, nowadays you have kids that sign up for a team, and then then the parents take the kid on vacation. They miss 75% of the games, and they show up, and then at the end of it, they get a ribbon because they
got a ribbon for him
because they were part of the team.
Well, okay,
it's ridiculous.
That's just okay. I just thought
anyway,
that was weird. I couldn't understand why that was the deal.
Yeah,
okay.
it's rampant now. It's ridiculous.
Where are we on time? Because I have a gripe.
Oh, you got a what?
A gripe.
Well,
I'm
we're
officially irritated.
All right, gripe away. How long is the gripe?
It's a real quick gripe.
Okay,
I want everyone to notice that this
away.
broadcast is done August 19th.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody who says fall is here is wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Fall is like 32 days away,
and
you can't take the rest of my summer from me.
No.
Because I may not have that many left. Okay. It's not fall. It's August. August is summer. Everyone in France is out of France because it's summer. It's not fall.
Who says it's fall?
All these people posting stuff. Like I said, 10 minutes on Facebook, and I was ready to
do this
throttle
anymore.
people.
No, it's not
Okay? Fall starts in September, after my birthday, not before. Everybody got that? We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark. Steve Ponziano, this will be a quick break.
In their war against lackluster. Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, not any other talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official console distributor. So we got two things here.
Independence Day. You ever seen that?
Yes,
One of the classic
I have seen Independence
one
Day
of the classic
a couple of
lines.
times.
You and me need to work on our communication. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith.
Yeah.
I got that. I like that part. Whoops.
Whoops. What do you mean, whoops?
All right, we got 2 topics here. One is dress codes, and the other is foosball.
Are they separate topics?
Oh, yeah.
Topics, or are they? Okay.
They're just kind of what I was thinking during the pre-show fist fight. Have you ever played foosball?
Yes.
What do you think of foosball?
I love foosball.
What is it you like about it?
It's fun. It's hard. I mean, you can get really good at it, and it's like there's an intricacy of it that if you just go there and whack the ball around, what's the big deal? But there's really a part of the game that you really could get good at, and people like kind of amaze people. They'll be like, well, I never saw that coming.
Frank Jerzakowski.
Who?
Frank Jerzakowski.
Mm-hmm.
High school. Right? We had a place across the street from high school that was open like at 7. Detention started at 7:30. School started at 8 or 8:30, depending on what you had going. If you had a late class, then you came later. Right? If you had no late class, then you started early. But in high school, I played 2 things. I played pinball
Mm-hmm.
and I played foosball. And pinball got to be boring because it was just all this repetition, you knock up some free games, and hey, you want 5 free games? Give me a quarter, because then I get my quarter back and I broke even, and I go throw it in a foosball game. Started to learn to play foosball, had a nice pull shot, played with my buddies, played with my classmates, and then there was this one guy. I went in there one afternoon, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I know you." I'm like, "Hey, Frank." He's like, "You want to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "I heard you're pretty good." I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I've been playing like all month." He's like, "Okay." Guy tore me apart.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stop him. I was just amazed. And I think he got thrown out of school, but
But yeah, I mean, it's
a little too much time at the foosball
you can
table.
Sit there and flip
he was making money.
You can flip the guys around, whack it as hard as possible, but really, literally,
Oh no, he had skill.
You could literally have a skill to it where you knew where you were passing the ball, and only that quarter shot.
Right.
There's a lot to it.
In Chicago, there was like this little Italian espresso place that had an Italian foosball table where the ball was super hard, the guys were really small, and the ball went 100 miles an hour, right? Like the normal dynamo table we had outside the high school, but if you went to the pool hall, they had a Greek foosball table where the guys were like, where's the camera? The guys were like this tall and had these big paddle feet, and they were made out of wood. And then the bottom surface was kind of on the sticky side. So you could kind of like pin the ball to the ground,
right,
and then snap it and get a little like kind of extra flex on the dude. And then the ball would actually leave the table. So you'd kind of hit it high. And then the goalie would have to block it with its body instead of its feet. Right? The only reason I'm bringing this up is I want to know why.
I was wondering, by the way.
I want to know why foosball disappeared, and why there's no what happened. There used to be like a foosball league. Why isn't foosball televised?
Really?
Yeah. Why isn't foosball televised? Why isn't foosball at least as big as darts? Because they're kind of the same game. Right, darts is something anybody can play for fun. You don't really need to know what you're doing. You could throw in your quarter and spin the guys, and play to 5. But then if
darts, you can at least put on a stage. I mean, you can put foosball on a stage, but you can only look down upon it.
Well, you'd have to televise it, and
right.
20 years ago, all they had was a camera. So now you could put little remote cameras in the back and get almost like eye level to the players and stuff. You could do a lot with foosball now.
But that's all televised, not live. I mean, at least darts, you see it live. I mean, you see the darts going into the board. You see everything, unless you're, 80 seats back. But
okay,
I don't know. I think it would be harder.
So you think darts is more television worthy?
It's more visual, yeah.
Well, what did Fathom say about darts on TV? Do you remember what he said last week? Because we have a listener to this show that like really thinks cricket is what's wrong with American darts.
Oh well, I mean, he was talking. If you're asking about what he was talking about, how to make darts popular on TV, meaning gambling.
Was that what he said? Was just the gambling?
It's the gambling aspect is what he was talking about. How to make it more popular. And I mean, he started talking.
It would hook you. When he was talking about the odd number or green or red doubles and stuff.
Yeah. Well, he started also talking about being able to set up X amount of cameras and this and that, but his main goal is the only way to make it popular was
to allow wagering.
To allow wagering like they do in England.
Well, I mean,
and he's not wrong. But football's popular, but
if you couldn't bet on football, there's no way football would be where it is now. No. They're all talking about Frank Gifford and Monday Night Football and stuff. It was Jimmy the Greek and the point spreads.
Right.
Even though he got in trouble eventually and at one point the NFL tried to pretend and then they got away from point spreads and stuff like that. So they kind of when they got rid of Jimmy the Greek, they sort of got away from point spreads, but they still were picking winners.
Yeah.
Right. But
that's what it's all about.
If you can't wager on it, then you lose the hardcore sport fan.
And then they've changed it into fantasy football, which you still wager on.
Well, that's the workaround
amongst yourselves. But the bottom line is I mean, there's an injury report on football that has to come out before.
Yeah, but it's
right.
It's not really.
It's all because of wagering.
Well, that's always what's been said. I mean, it's I mean,
they don't make you tell you whether the quarterback.
They tell you somebody's injured.
Yeah.
Look, I saw a video of Kelvin Benjamin today. They had a joint practice.
I read about it. I didn't see it.
No, I saw him cut, hit the ground, clutch his knee. I'm like, ACL, he's gone.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, he's going in for an MRI, and I'm like, he tore his ACL. I can tell you from here. I'm in Chicago. He's in Charlotte.
They're hoping it's a sprained knee.
Yeah, it's a torn ACL.
That's too bad.
Yeah, he's a good player, and this really stuff happens, but.
Right.
You could pretty much tell when somebody's injured. Like the pitcher, who immediately leaves the field with blood on his hand. Yeah, okay. There's a concussion.
His arm is flailing around.
Dave Trevecki?
Yeah. Well, that's...
I mean... okay, I don't mean to make light of that.
No, that's a little over
that
the
was
top.
Pretty
you
serious.
Obviously know he's hurt. But, yeah. I mean... I agree with you. I mean...
I keep thinking of that Saturday Night Live thing.
Even the guy...
The all-drug Olympics.
Yeah. Even the guy that
lifts
throws
the weight,
pitch,
his arms come off.
Remember when Jake Peavy threw the pitch and immediately clutches?
Yeah.
I mean, it turns out to be a serious injury. You just don't know, but, I mean, literally, a muscle rips away from his bone. I mean, when somebody throws something and does something and goes, that's not good,
I could see, I get more from a tape than I do from an injury report where somebody's listed as probable.
Well... But
I'm like, can you shoot it up?
It's the whole probable, questionable, doubtful thing,
and out.
Yeah,
that's
But it is. But back to
it doesn't.
Point.
Yeah.
The point being is the NFL, whether you want to believe it or not, is a gambling sport, and that's it. And its popularity is based on gambling, and I do not disagree with Fathom about the fact that. I believe it's that way overseas, and I believe if that's the way to make it popular, I agree he's got a point. But
people have talked about
we're talking about the United States that are trying to get casinos everywhere. We're trying to get slowly.
We've had tournaments in casinos, but they've never been able. I mean, I don't know that you'd ever get that here. I don't know what criteria the PDC meets and the BDO meets, with all their sponsors as far as guaranteeing that everything's on the up and up, right? And that's really the issue.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you had the baseball scandal in 1919.
The tennis is going through it all the time.
Tennis is there's been a couple here and there. There's a huge soccer thing, not like World Cup soccer, which is the only kind of soccer I follow, but kind of like league matches with these guys in Indonesia or something. Rigging this, rigging that.
Oh, it's a problem. One you have to be aware about.
Point shaving in college,
and that's why it would be tough if you're talking about expanding darts, and you have to.
You'd never be able to tell. You'd never be able to tell if a guy missed a double. because he wanted to.
You go into tournaments and you guys split, right? You know, I mean.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of that goes on in the finals
like
and
that.
stuff like that. You're playing your doubles partner. You're splitting for the
bet
weekend.
On yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, horse races, you could bet on yourself. Jockey could go in there and bet on themselves.
The PDC, you can't bet on yourself, but who's to say, Uncle John can't go, put a couple of shekels on you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they police that.
It's difficult. I agree it would make it more popular, but it's not that simple. It's there's a lot of things that take into consideration.
Yeah, if the panacea is gambling, we got a long way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely.
You got a long way to go because you're going to need metrics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you got Dart Connect and all these matches where you're now getting metrics from Steel Tip. You always got metrics from Soft Tip. I don't know that you could get – they're there. I don't know if you can get to them. Get the information like did you ever see Heat?
Yes.
Like the guy's like, this information's just beamed everywhere. It's just – I know how to grab it. See, I know how to grab it. The stats for Soft Tip are there if you know how to grab it. Mm-hmm. Or if you could talk – whoever's behind it into grabbing those stats, you could get all sorts of meaningful stuff. I don't know how you police the players. I don't know. If you're ever caught match fixing, you're banned for life and you go to jail forever. I mean, cell next to Jared.
Well, I mean that's the thing. It's going to be that's a slow process in itself. I mean, go all the way back, from even Pete Rose gambling. But there always has to be a precedent set. You can't all of a sudden just say, here's the rule.
Well, the rule.
If you're ever caught. Even in tennis, these guys, some of these guys are getting caught, but they don't really have a rule for it.
In tennis, they do.
You're banned for.
You have to prove it. They had some BDO guy a couple of years ago who was supposed to. He was favored, and some guy beat him 3-love, 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 and then the bookies wouldn't pay off on it. And you're going to prove the guy didn't have a bad day?
Mm-hmm.
Did he suddenly end up with like $50,000 in the bank? I mean, that's Scotland Yard's got to figure that out.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. If these guys are all getting caught, how many are getting away with it?
My point to that would be is if the guys taking the bets, that's their liability as well. They can't just say, "Hey, I'm not paying out because you just." That's their choice.
Well, I don't know how that's resolved.
Right.
Hey, you're paying me anyway. No, it's no. Here's your original bet. We're not paying that one.
Well, but
what do you take them to court?
Listen, I mean, I guess, but I don't think it's fair if you're going to be the book and all of a sudden you're going to say, well, no, that was rigged. Well, I'm sorry, but you're the one that's taking the liability of us having that opportunity to rig it, right? You know what I mean? But they have that much power. That's the problem. But I agree with you. Back to what we were saying. I mean, if that's the end all be all, we got a long way to go.
Well, the way to do it would be have the existing bookmakers in Europe take the action. Then all you would need was a law that says you can gamble overseas in Europe on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you used to be able to. They got rid of it. People were abusing it. There was a poker scandal.
Yes.
Right, stuff like that.
Right.
But the fact is it's like DraftKings and all these one-day fantasy things. It's basically gambling.
It is.
They're saying it's a skill thing, but I don't know. I mean, they're sponsoring Major League Baseball Network now.
Right.
And
other things other than that.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be skill. I mean, how that's not gambling. Like, I'm going to bet that this guy has the best day of anybody else, as opposed to I'm going to bet that this team beats that team. What's the difference?
But they're all depositing money.
Well, yeah.
And that's gambling. I don't know. Somehow they made it legal.
I don't know.
But
Loophole.
we're due for a break.
Really?
On that note.
I mean, I don't know how we could, take talk to DraftKings and see if they'll include darts. And then what?
Make it a fantasy league?
Well, you pick every event.
Yeah.
Event number 1. Pick your 4 guys. Here's 100 names.
Right.
Well, maybe they're the people to talk to.
It might be.
All right, we'll be back for the last segment. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark, Steve Panuncialvin, solving all the problems of the world in less than an hour. We'll be right back.
by now and forevermore warned that you
Nailed it.
consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Back for the fourth quarter of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor.
Are you ready?
Well, this is why you don't check your phone in the middle of a show.
Why? Did somebody say you're on Ashley Madison?
No, somebody sent me something about an exhibition. I guess it's tomorrow.
Oh.
Oh, okay. An evening with Gordon Dixon and Kyle Schwarber.
Nice.
In the Buffalo Area Dart League.
All right.
I wonder if this is Angelo. He talked about this, like doing an exhibition and bringing in some out of towners.
The day off tomorrow?
No, they're playing Atlanta.
Oh, how's Schwarber going to be there?
DJ Sayer, Kyle Schwarber. Seriously, dude. So yeah, if you're in Buffalo or you feel like a drive, it's tomorrow night. You can find information, I'm sure, on Facebook somewhere. Reinventing the Wheel.
Really?
Well, it was weird. I get a Facebook message from some guy whose nickname is Bong, and I'm immediately suspicious. But he says he's doing a darts podcast, and he'd like to interview me next week. Am I available?
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yeah, sure.
This is from where?
Toronto.
All right.
So apparently, this guy is doing some sort of podcast where he tapes it in advance and then he broadcasts it in English and Chinese. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's like, yeah.
So we get to hear you speak Chinese?
Well, I could get coaching. I know some experts, actually. I could learn Chinese if
you had
I felt
the
a need. I only know two people that speak it, and they're both married to friends of mine. So I can just talk to my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really need to speak Chinese. But China's a huge market, So I would think, for darts, it's wide open territory, right? If darts ever makes it big in China, I mean, is darts more fun than ping pong or table tennis? I mean, table tennis is physically demanding.
Table tennis is...
That'll wear you out, man. We used to do that.
When you get to that level, that's pretty damn fun, man. It looks fun.
In college...
These guys are crazy.
In college, I had one semester where I had, like, a perfect schedule. And, I was on the college tennis team, and my buddy wasn't, but wanted to play tennis more than I did. And actually, he was just a very angry guy. And what he wanted to do was go out on a tennis court and have me hit easy shots to his backhand so he could hit them back at me at 120 miles an hour, which he could do. The guy had a backhand that was pro level. And in the wintertime, obviously, the outdoor tennis courts are covered in snow, so that's not doable. So one semester, we took up tennis. And it was weird. At DePaul University, they had like a glass window and like kind of just empty space, and then you would walk past the empty space to get to the cafeteria. So there's him and I with like sweatbands, wristbands, short shorts because, I'm old school, right? It wasn't like, we got like shorts down to our knees. I mean, we got like gym shorts, gym shoes, tank tops, whatever. And we're over there just pounding ping pong balls at each other. People thought we were nuts, but you get good at anything if you do it long enough. So I'd lose weight.
We used to play tennis ping pong, kind of. We literally would stand 15 feet away and hit a serve as hard as you could, and
just try to hit the ball in the air.
Yeah, I mean we were smacking the ball all over the place, but I mean I don't know. Ping
pong. I don't know. I like playing ping pong.
Ping pong.
Playing it at a high level is physically demanding.
When you watch those guys, my God, it's crazy.
It's not just hand-eye coordination. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about ping pong?
I don't know. You went from reinventing the wheel to
Reinventing the wheel. So he does this show where he wants to, tape it in the morning, tape it in advance, and air it at night. I'm like, okay, fine. Just send me, if you're going to do an interview with me and then you're going to edit it, send me the edited version first before you broadcast it. And he hasn't gotten back to me. And I'm like, that's kind of a courtesy. That's part of the reason that I don't do like pre-recorded interviews anymore, because it took too much time. Like, I'd get these guys on the phone, we'd talk for an hour and a half, I got to cut it to 20 minutes, and then, consult with them. I saved a couple of guys from, like, hurting themselves,
right.
Where I'm like,
put the foot in their mouth?
Well, I spent an hour and a half on the phone with somebody, right? Then I spend 3 hours listening to the recording, trying to figure out, how to make it, what's good, what's not, la-di-da. Sometimes I'd be like, all right, let's talk off the record for a second, and then we go back to it and just talking on the phone. And so the early interviews, if you look at the archive, like the first year we did the show, most of the interviews were not live. Mm-hmm. We had a couple, right, but a lot of them were pre-recorded. And it got to the point where to get 20 minutes of somebody on the show was taking me 4 hours. And I'm like, well, why don't we? Right. Yeah. Let's just do it live. Bill O'Reilly, we'll do it live. So this guy didn't get back to me, and I'm like, okay, amateur podcast, I get it, but it's a professional courtesy if you're going to edit something like an interview with somebody that you have approval.
Right.
Otherwise, you could be walking into some total hatchet job.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I don't know if the guy's editing skills are good. I mean, I don't, really know the guy.
So you would just prefer to do it live?
No. He can't do it live because they're translating it and doing it in Chinese and stuff. Sure. So I'm happy to cooperate. I'm happy to go on the show, and I'll give it a mention. He texted me. I don't remember the name of it, but if I do go on, I'll post a link to it. I'm just sort of like, doing a podcast about darts. I'm like,
it's called All About Darts Podcast.
Oh, okay, there you go. I mean, how many dart podcasts do you need? Can we stop now and start on baseball and let this guy do the dart one? Because we've been doing this. I'm going on 5 years of this, right? And I think we've covered every topic under the sun, dart wise, in one way, shape, or form, right?
I'm sure there's something we've missed. You never know.
Well, next week I'm going to talk about practicing because I am starting to practice. I signed up for Indianapolis.
You're starting to practice golf. You're not starting to practice darts.
I'm taking the holistic Bobby Fischer approach.
Okay.
Which, I don't know if we talked about this. You realize, like, what Bobby Fischer did in Reykjavik when he played Boris Spassky in 72 and started the big chess boom in America? He worked out like 4 hours a day because in order to have your mind in its perfect place, there needs to be some physical balance introduced to it. So, I'm doing the 10,000 steps, which is good because I've been doing a lot of sitting around for the last, couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of bad.
Doesn't show.
Well, it's the golf. It's actually smacking the golf balls is doing more for me than the walking because it's physically, you've seen me swing.
Yes. No, I agree.
I mean, I'm trying to swing easier and I can't seem to do it.
Right.
I'm not that I'm always swinging out of my shoes, but I mean, you've seen me hit, right? Some of the guys have. Some of the dart players, I still, whenever anybody asks about Ray Carver, I'll be like, ask him about the time he saw me, shoot 5 birdies in a row up in Antioch. Strawbridge too. Strawbridge had soft hands, good with short irons. What am I talking about?
Next week.
What? Oh yeah. So next week we're going to talk about practicing because I'm reestablishing the dart practice, starting either tonight or tomorrow night. So that'll be fun. Where are we on time? We're not going to get.
We're right at the hour.
All right, we're not going to get to the rivalries. Next week we're going to do the dart rivalries. What are the most compelling dart rivalries? What matches would you really like to see the most?
Well, did people send us stuff? We got to talk to Sam the intern. Does he have a list?
Have you even talked to Sam the intern
not
in
like
6 months?
No.
I think Sam the intern is just cashing his checks. Have you looked at his time card? I'll bet you he's done nothing, not lifted a finger. Anyway, follow us on Twitter at Dart Talk. I'm tweeting every day about various things if you're interested. And we'll have some more. This weekend, I believe, is Kingston. So we will effort getting somebody who is in Kingston for the PDC Spectacular to come on the show next week and talk about it. And we'll see. I didn't see a list of everyone that signed up before the show, but we'll try to get full coverage and a report from somebody who's in Kingston this weekend. Fathom's going. Maybe we should get Fathom back on the show. Should we get Fathom on the show and finally I get somebody to argue cricket in 501?
Well, I think he would come back and do it.
You think he would?
Mm-hmm.
He'll try to get Fathom back. What do you got? You got anything? Playing golf this weekend? What? Nothing?
Just
normal, working.
Normal Sunday working, and then normal Sunday golf. No, I got nothing.
I want to play a round of golf sometime soon.
All right.
Can you hook me up?
We can
hook me up.
We can try and figure
I want to get
out
out and actually play 18 holes.
All right.
I haven't played since we were in Hawaii. So I think 18 holes a year isn't that much.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And always you can send your emails to darttalk@gmail.com. We do read them. Sometimes we even get back to you. YouTube, Dart Talk US is our YouTube channel. We got all the old shows up there. iTunes, Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com. You can get all the old audio there. Right? Are you leaving anything out? Website,
I believe that's
darttalk.us. Stop in, say hello. And we will Dart Talk to everyone next week. Y'all take care.